Okay, once again, OBS always says we're live, but I'm never sure. Yes, it would appear we are live, so let me pop out the chat so I can see things. Uh, so I can see things. Hello there, worse than you. And hello there, everyone else who tunes into us. Welcome to the apparently third, it's the 6th episode of Filthy Casuals, a podcast where myself and my friend Caesar
Yo.
talk about pop culture and politics therein. Today, we have something very special because Star Wars The High Republic, the newest project out of out of Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm, has released a preview of the first chapter of the first book.
Yeah.
We
Oh boy.
also have Comics Pledge, and I have one more thing, but you will have to wait till the end of the stream to find out what it is.
How come I wasn't informed about this?
Because you're just as surprised as anyone else.
Oh. Ooh, surprise.
Yes, there will be something. I do have a thing. It's a project. Other than the Metro Exodus project, which again I'm shooting for mid-July. Work's just been hell recently. But thanks to the rising coronavirus, who knows? Maybe my restaurant will be shut down and I'll have endless amounts of time to work on the project. But for now, mid-July is what I'm shooting for. Or that will be the goal. Now then, to other business. No. Let's start with the new thing in comics. Say hello to the Comics Pledge. Men, we need to men of the world. We need to admit we are awful people. We are inherently
Yeah.
morally wrong. We were born deformed. Our penis is is made of pure evil. At least according to feminists, which is where this thing came from. So this is the Comics Pledge. Men in comics say no. There are a lot of ideals we claim to honor in comics. Hope, justice, unity, innovation, creativity, and freedom. Yes, we do those. Yes, generally speaking, those are heroic attributes. One would think that we would hold those in high regard. None of them mean anything unless men in comics change our behavior and hold each other accountable for the safety of women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes. Okay.
What? Okay. When you say all sexes, there's only two. Like, I mean, I assume the vast majority of people who believe in non-binary genders will
I don't
still
even
say
believe
that.
there's a spectrum of gender.
Oh, well, I'm saying that. I mean, people tend to separate gender from sex, so I assume most people who believe in the gender spectrum will still say that sex. But
I don't necessarily believe that the genders are separated from sex. But regardless, there's only two, number one. So men need to treat
honestly,
women better in comics.
honestly, I think we need to just get rid of the term gender altogether. Say biological sex.
Meanwhile, by the way, there's a woman who works in the comic industry who stalked a 14-year-old boy around a fairground and was like, "Yeah, I want to fuck him."
Which one
And
was that?
oh, I can't remember. Just some guy said what her name was. Let me
If it's Gail Simone, then oh god, that's
No, it's
hilarious.
not Gail Simone. It was not Gail Simone. I would have known who Gail Simone. It was
Yeah,
someone else.
I just yeah. If it was Gail Simone, just Link Cara would die on the inside.
I know he wants to suck her lady dick. Nope.
But not before first having her dress up as the Green M&M
That's
or Miss
weird. Why is that?
or Miss. There's only two genders, men and Karens. Wow.
Fair enough. All right. Where is it? 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 Ah, here we go. Julia Vickerman.
I have never heard of that name.
I haven't either, but I'm not a comics aficionado. Oh, but
Yeah, me
apparently
neither.
she works in comics and decided to stalk a 14-year-old boy around a fairground and hash and said and hashtagged the the um the post with pedophile.
Look, Clayton, you don't understand. Women can do no harm unless they're conservative.
I'm aware.
We
So
must
let's
bow
see.
to.
Yeah. So you were saying?
You could always replace Karen with Chris Chan. Okay, let's not go that far. Uh, nothing. I was just being snarky. Go
Anyway,
on.
all right. So let's go into this. What we as men pledge to do to admit to women we are horrible. I pledge to never abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate women and all people of marginalized genders or sexes. Okay?
Don't tell me what to do, bitch.
And further, why would you assume that anyone has done this?
I don't
Like,
know.
you can't groom a grown woman, but you can groom a 14-year-old, Miss Vickerman. Just pointing that out. You can groom a minor to be to you can groom a minor. It's not technically illegal, by the way. Which it's illegal in some states. I don't think it's illegal in every state, but yeah, grooming is weird, because it's that weird gray area that pedophiles like to exploit. Abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate. Okay, define manipulation.
I
Because
don't know.
I would
Okay.
say a woman, a woman, uh, using her um womanness to get ahead in an industry is manipulative. So, is a woman manipulating another woman, is that wrong, or is that just the sisterhood?
Oh, women manipulate other women is hot.
To hold myself accountable for my own actions, be open to the comments and concerns of my peers, and educate myself. So be an adult. Lord knows a lot of these SJW types do need to learn how to be adults. To actively intervene when we see or know of abuse, harassment, grooming, or manipulation. Well, see, the whole thing that sparked this off was the fact that a bunch of guys in the comic book industry got Me Too'd. But here's the thing: nobody cared. Heard when it was good for their career to let this guy be a creep. Just like with Harvey Weinstein, just like with a lot of Me Too cases, it's just like, yeah, I don't have sympathy for you. Fuck off. You let this guy do what he wanted, and now and now you're playing the victim card 30 years later. By the way, Angry Joe got Me Too'd.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's bullshit. I'm calling it now. There's no evidence to support it. Anyway, but who cares? It's Angry Joe, who claimed to speak for me. To ally for women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes experiencing abuse, harassment, grooming, or manipulation. No. Women, I believe women have the power to stand up for themselves. There. That is my allyship. I believe women have agency, therefore they are capable of both good and bad, and I am not a rapist. To actively call out friends and peers even when no one else is watching. To commit to this pledge for the long haul and keep this conversation alive in the industry. We understand marginalized genders and sexes to include, but not limited to, non binary and binary trans people, two spirit, agender, and gender fluid people, as well as intersex people of any gender.
What the fuck is Two Spirit?
Hell if I know. I'm not
Okay,
going to look it up either.
hold on. I am going to look it up. I will tell you what I find.
But you know what I find missing from this whole, oh, we understand all of these people exist. You know what I find missing from this? Is men.
Black people. Oh, I was gonna say people of color.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked it up. Okay, so Two Spirit. This is coming from uh LGBTQ Health dot ca. Let's see. Two Spirit refers to a person who identifies as having both a masculine and a feminine spirit, and is used by some indigenous people to describe their sexual, gender, and or spiritual identity. So it's cultural appropriation.
Apparently.
Yes.
Anyway, we understand, like, so this whole thing screams at me, men are terrible, men are evil, men are rapists. And anyone who pledges this, by the way, either doesn't want to get called out for me, doesn't want to be me too'd, or they have major skeletons in their closet.
All right, so I'm looking at the the Twitter or the Twitter link you showed me on Discord.
Oh yeah,
Apparently,
Scott Snyder.
yeah, I have a couple of his comics, the Court of Owls and I think the other one's Night of Owls.
Hmm.
It's a decent series.
Didn't they make it into a movie?
Nope, but it would make for a good movie.
I think they made it into a movie.
They did not. There is no Court of Owls movie. Maybe in the Gotham TV.
Batman and the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
That's a DC movie.
like an animated one.
Yeah.
Oh, see.
But anyway, we spent enough time on
Oh, oh,
this.
oh, oh, you're right. It is a movie. Or, well, wait, no, it was. Or I guess it's
That's very
from
true, worse than you.
the Batman versus Robin movie, which I guess has the Court of Owls in there.
Oh. Eh. It might as well be Batman and the Court of Owls. The Court of Owls takes more plot, has most of the plot.
I find it so strange that apparently DC made an entire animated universe.
Yeah, but it's better than their live action one. Also very true, worse than you. They don't care what they if they've said worse, they just want to get rid of people they don't like. Very true. They wish to advance their own careers. But on to the meat of the episode. The piece de
Oh boy!
resistance.
All right, it's been like 4 weeks since we last talked about Star Wars, so let's talk about
I
fucking.
know, right?
All right,
Uh
we are reading an excerpt from the first chapter of the High Republic book.
the first chapter of the first book.
Let's see.
So,
Uh, Star Wars: The High Republic, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, I guess.
yeah. The Force is with the galaxy. God damn.
I,
I saw the Clownfish TV one, and it was like long enough ago that I vaguely forgot like what this opened with. But god damn, is that such a that's a clunky line to fucking open on.
I mean, isn't the force is always with the galaxy?
Yeah, the force is a presence is a semi-sentient presence within the galaxy.
Let's
It,
see.
but the
It is.
force is with like it. It's so awkward.
Alright. Okay, so it is the time of the High Republic, not to be confused with the Old Republic. We don't talk about that anymore.
The
A
better
peaceful
republic.
union, a peaceful union of like-minded worlds where all voices are heard while simultaneously being like-minded. Bit paradoxical, if you ask me. And governance is achieved through consensus, not coercion or fear. It is a time of ambition, of culture, of inclusion, of great work, which is written in all caps. Or great works is written capitalized.
Yeah, that's weird.
Visionary Chancellor Lena So reads the Republic from the elegant city world of Coruscant, located near the bright center of the galactic core.
All right, so it's basically utopia. You know, the sort of grit and grime, the thin veneer of the sort of
Yeah,
grit that the OT brought, and the sort of thin veneer of peace and unity that the prequels brought. That's all gone. We're tossing that out. It's a time of utopia.
yeah. I'm still confused by the whole all voices are heard, but everybody is like-minded.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good
I mean,
question. Is
if
there no
everybody
one
gets,
in there's no one in the galaxy interested in serving their own planet or themselves? Well,
yeah,
in this world, what's up with that?
yeah. So I recently listened to the audiobook to the Darth Plagueis,
Hmm.
and discovered like in with like Darth Maul's people, like they apparently use the men as slaves.
Yep.
So are they part of this like-minded republic? Like we treat all that the women are in charge and the men are slaves.
Who knows? But I can only assume that they're not because if men were slaves, all voices wouldn't be heard. Unless the people writing this book don't consider men people.
That's a hot.
You can't see it, but I'm just leaning closer to the screen and like staring.
All right.
But beyond the core and its many peaceful colonies, there's the rim, inner, mid,
Hey,
and
hey. Colonialism is wrong. How dare you put colonies in there?
there's the inner, mid, and finally at the border of what is known, the outer rim. These worlds are filled with opportunity for those brave enough to travel the few well-mapped hyperspace lanes leading to them, though there is danger as well. The outer rim is a haven for anyone seeking to escape the laws of the Republic and is filled with predators of every type. All right. So, there's a problem here.
All right.
So, the rims were sort of galactic borders. At least in the original Star Wars. Like the rims were sort of groupings of planets. They weren't in terms of um in terms of galactic mapping. So you have the inner rim, which is the core and like a bunch of and like four or five other systems. So that's the inner rim, and they're all very easily connected. Then you have the mid rim, which was further out, but still very easily connected. You find Naboo here. Naboo is considered a mid-rim planet. And then there's the outer rim. And the reason the outer rim is because while most of the outer rim is known, there's still planets undiscovered out there. But not only that, it's not necessarily Republic space either. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like
not the
so
wild, wild west. It's not, oh, there's the outer rim is beyond the galaxy. It's the outer rim is just where the Republic's influence is the weakest. So the Hutts and other criminal
yeah,
organizations function with impunity, pretty much. Some of the
yeah,
planets have representation in the Senate, but others did not.
yeah. I was gonna ask about the huts, so that's where they hang out.
Like, the Republic's influence didn't extend that far. So it was the inner, mid, and outer rim were just measures of the Republic's influence. And if you look at maps of the um fuck of the old Republic, of the Republic, it does extend to the outer rim, but there's also like there's this little dot that tends to be there through consistently, and it's usually labeled hut space.
Yeah, I've always wondered like why all the alien races don't just like the aliens that serve the huts don't just turn on them. I mean, they're a bunch of fat slug people. What are they gonna do?
They're
Like
shockingly strong, apparently. Like, straight up, they're super strong.
not strong enough to get strangled to death with a chain, unless Jabba was the weakest of his species.
Anyway, eh, are you reading the next paragraph?
Oh, sure. Chancellor So has pledged to bring the Outer Rim worlds into the embrace of the Republic through ambitious outreach programs such as the Starlight Beacon. Order and justice are maintained on the galactic frontier by Jedi Knights, guardians of peace who have mastered incredible abilities stemming from a mysterious energy field known as the Force. The Jedi work closely with the Republic and have agreed to establish outposts in the Outer Rim to help any who might require aid.
So much is very, very wrong with that. Let's just throw out, oh, I don't know, 4 to 5 decades of lore around the Jedi Knights, around the Jedi, originally yes, originally they were guardians of peace, but they didn't necessarily work for the Republic. It depends on what era of the of the old Republic you're talking about. In the early days, they weren't allied with the Republic.
Yeah, well, I think since I believe there's supposed to be a young Yoda in here, so I think it is. I guess if the old
This is
Republic still somehow
this is
happened
supposed to be like
after
30 or 40 years between from the first episode 1, I think, is what I've heard.
30 years, so
Not
this would be
30,
like
it's like it's 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 a decent amount of time, but it doesn't explain like what this is, how they're going
so,
to explain all this.
so it would still take place. It could still take place in the within the time of the Darth Plagueis book.
Yeah,
Both
pretty much.
lines were parallel to each other.
Like, I think it takes place like a century at most. A century at most from the uh a century at most.
So, do you think Yoda's going to be a puppet or CG if he's in the movie? I think CG would make more sense, but people think but the puppet's more nostalgic.
So let's see. Where's the news been posting in the chat like mad, and I didn't have it popped up on screen, so I couldn't see it.
Yeah. No. Well, worse than you. Where have you been these past several weeks? We missed you.
I agree. Every time I hear the High Republic, I think about the Republic during the Clone Wars. Uh, no, honestly, the my introduction to the Old Republic was with the Darth Bane novels, and those are really, really good.
Oh God, yes. Those stories are fucking dark. Holy shit.
I am receiving a call, so I'm going to be right back. Read the next
All
paragraph.
right. Read the next paragraph. Right. The Jedi of the frontier can be the only resource for people with nowhere else to turn. Through the outposts operate independently without direct assistance from the Great Jedi Temple on Coruscant. They act as an effective deterrent to those who would do evil in the dark. Few can stand against the Knights of the Jedi Order, but there are always those who will try.
What?
What?
In response to your why don't people revolt against the Hutts? They have mercenary armies. He's according to worse than you. Um, okay, so let's talk about those last two sentences. Few. Oh, I read that wrong. Actually, few can stand against the Jedi Order, but there are always those who will try. Like,
I don't have much to say about that. It's
I mean, sure, it's a fine setup for this, but let let's talk about how much this damages fucking Jedi lore. The Jedi were an order of like monks. That was their thing.
don't you mean space wizards?
No, I mean they were an order of monks who studied the Force.
They're space wizards intended for children.
I will smack you.
Bring it.
Anyway,
Except for Darth Bane. That shit is not child friendly.
I mean, no, no, it's not. But I picked it up in an airport. Um, by the way, I picked up the first Darth Bane book in an airport.
Nice.
All right, so let's get into this. The the so that's been the basically like the title, the text crawl at the beginning. The Force is with the galaxy. That's such an awkward. Oh, I can't get over it. All right, so chapter one, hyperspace, the legacy run. Good God. Someone help the writers come up with better ship names.
So Legacy Run is the name of the ship that they're on.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right. Worse than
Okay.
you. Author. Jedi are basically the police force.
Ooh. Hashtag abolished Jedi. Actually, I guess that's pretty much what the Republic is by Revenge of the Sith.
Just
The
about.
Masters abolish the Jedi. We
Hmm.
need Sith. All
Anyway,
Jedi are bastards.
someone come up with a better ship name than Legacy Run in like the next minute.
Honestly, I think just calling it the Legacy would be fine.
Boom. There you go. All right. 3 hours to impact.
Spoilers.
Why would you put that there?
I guess
Okay,
to
so
increase and make it seem tense.
no,
I don't
that
know.
doesn't help. That's not. No, that's not. No. No, 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 no. No. I don't
Like,
give a shit. Why do I? No, I now don't give a shit about anyone I'm going to read about because I now know they're all most likely gonna die. Ooh. Damn,
Well, it could mean that
worse than
could mean
you coming with the fire tonight. Sword of Alderaan.
I don't get it.
It doesn't. You don't have to get it. It's just Sword of Alderaan's a better ship name than Legacy Run.
Oh, the ship name.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a cool name.
Like, I would never start a chapter like that, especially chapter 1, because I now don't give a shit about anyone I'm going to read about, because they're all most likely going to die. Like, you could start it, like, I would start it with not 3 hours to impact, but I'd start it with, like, maybe 3 minutes to impact, and open with sort of a big, like, booming action scene, a desperate struggle to keep the ship righted, and maybe after or maybe a battle's going on around.
I know. Well,
And then
perhaps the
introducing
impact.
our main characters that way.
Well, perhaps the impact doesn't refer to what happens in the chapter. Maybe it's like something that happens in the book overall, kind of like 24,
And maybe.
or like 24 or Jorah's Mask. So it's always counting down.
All
But
is
then again, that would imply that the entire book takes place within the span of 3 hours.
And Lord knows, if The Last Jedi proved anything, you shouldn't limit yourself on time in these movies. In Star Wars.
Or Rise of Skywalker. That took place within less than a day.
16 hours. 16 hours Rise of Skywalker took place. Now thinking back on it and watching Mahler's just examination, it was breakneck speed.
Oh yeah, one of these days we need to sit down and binge all three trilogies.
All is well. Captain Hedda Cassett reviewed the readouts and displays built into her command chair for the second time. She always went over them at least twice. She had more than 4 decades of flying behind her and figured the double check was a large part of the reason she was still flying. The second look confirmed everything she'd seen in the first. All is well, she said aloud, this time announcing to her bridge crew, time for my rounds, Lieutenant Bowman. You have the bridge. The fuck is this dialogue? Why is this so weird? Why would you say that? You don't. Look, it's a cliche thing to say, oh, it's 10 o'clock and all is well. Well, on a ship. But you don't actually need to say that. I might have to consult Ryan on this one. He's the maritime expert, but do you really need to say that? You could have just said, hey, Lieutenant Bowman, it's time for my rounds. You have the bridge. You have the bridge.
Acknowledged, Captain.
Ew, no.
Her first officer replied, standing from his own seat in preparation to occupy hers until she returned from her evening constitutional.
What?
I am going to do voices. You can't stop me. Is
I can mute you. I can and will mute you.
that a threat?
Okay, so she's talking about going for rounds, which should imply that she's inspecting the ship. Bingo. Oh, worse than you. Ooh, hell, you don't even have to. You don't even have to have this dialogue. This dialogue accomplishes nothing, because think about it this way. You're a first time. This is the first time reading a Star Wars book. You've never picked up one before. All you've had is the movies. This is so you pick this up. The first line of dialogue in this book is all is well. It lands like a proverbial thud. It first dialogue should be somewhat impactful or give you insight into the character. All I have here is she is doing her duties. At least this first paragraph gave me, oh, she's she's being she's very thorough. This character is very thorough. She's got 40 years of flying behind her. So she knows what she's looking at. She knows how to do it. She knows her job. Blah 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 blah. Like this tells me a lot about her and what to expect from her. What I would expect from her to do. Ooh, it sets up some expectation. Now I need to give a shit about her. Or like this gave me a basic personality trait. She's thorough. Oh, so now we build on it. This is not how you do that. Not every long-haul freighter captain ran their ship like a military vessel. Hedda had seen starships with stained floors, leaking pipes, and cracks in the cockpit windows. Lapses that speared her. That
Wait, wait,
spe-
wait, wait. Cracks in the cockpit window. That's fucking dangerous. You're in space.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like a crack on on your car windshield. You're still on Earth where
Or
there's
hell, even a modern ship, a crack in the windshield window is not going to be a crack in the cockpit window. Isn't it great? Isn't all that bad? But we're talking about space flight here. You know, that thing, that vacuum that sucks even the smallest opening.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
what?
So also, I'm no expert on space physics, but I assume if you have a crack, that crack will grow the faster your ship is going,
Generally, yes.
especially if you're in hyperspace.
Lapses that speared her to her very soul. But Hedda Cassett, oh. Okay, so don't. Here's the thing. And honestly, this is a problem in my own writing. You don't need to keep saying your character's name. We know who you're talking about by this point.
Yeah,
Like,
you just
but
say she.
she began her career as a fighter pilot with the Malastare Sullust Joint Task Force. First, keeping order in their little sector of the mid-rim, she started out flying an Incom Z-24, the single-seat fighter everyone just called a buzzbug. Most police action missions hunting down pirates and the like. Mostly police action missions hunting down pirates and the like. Eventually, though, she rose in command to a heavy cruiser, one of the largest vessels in the fleet. A good career, doing good work. Okay, again, character. We know her backstory now. She's from the military. She had left the Mollusk JTF with distinction, moved on to a job captaining a merchant vessel for the uh, Bryn Guild, her version of a relaxed retirement. But 30 plus years in the military meant order and discipline weren't just in her blood, they were her blood. Oh. Okay, that's an awkward way to phrase that, but moving
Yeah,
on. If
I get what they're saying, but yeah, that is
yeah, there's a better way to phrase that. It's not coming to
I
mind
think
now, but there's definitely a better way
I
to
think
phrase that.
I guess instead of saying that it's in her blood, it's a part of her.
Yeah.
It is her.
So every ship she flew now was run like it was about to fight a decisive battle against a Hutt armada, even if it was just carrying a load of ogre hides from World A to World B. This ship, the Legacy Run, was no exception.
Oh, so they do acknowledge the Huts.
Hedda stood accepting and returning Lieutenant J. Bowman's snap salute. She stretched, feeling the bones of her spine crackle and crunch. Too many years on patrol in tiny cockpits, too many high G maneuvers, sometimes in combat, sometimes just because it made her feel alive. Again, the character writing is decent so far, but a lot of the phrasing of the sentences tends to be awkward. The real problem, though, she thought, tucking a stray strand of gray hair behind one ear, is too many years. Again, we run into that problem where this is such an awkward sentence.
All right. She left the bridge, departing the precise machine of her commanding deck, and walking along a compact corridor into the large, more chaotic world of the Legacy Run. The ship was a Caniff Yards Class A modular freight transport, almost as old as she was. That put the craft a bit past her ideal operational life, but well within safe parameters if she was well maintained and regularly serviced, which she was. Her captain saw to that. I thought that was fine.
Hmm. The biggest problem I have is again the name of the ship. It 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 doesn't feel right when you say it.
The legacy run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah, like a legacy isn't really an actual physical thing.
yeah, the legacy. Into the larger compact corridor, into the larger, more chaotic world of the legacy. The legacy run is it's such a weird extension. I don't know how to say it, but it's I don't want to say it's awkward because it's not awkward. It's too long, I think. Anyway, her the run was a mixed-use ship, rated for both cargo and passengers, hence modular in its designation. Okay, we didn't. I didn't need the definition of modular here. This is that's bad. Bad writing. I agree. Worse than you. The author could just drop the run part of the ship and it would be fine. It was composed of a huge central compartment shaped like a long triangular prism with engineering aft and the rest of the space allotted for cargo. The bridge connected to the central hull via long boom arms, one of which he was traversing at the very moment. Additional smaller modules could be attached to the central section, up to 144 swapped in and out at the yard depending on what was needed for a given run. Okay, so what? I get they're describing the ship, but I'm having a hard time picturing it. Like, there's an Old Republic novel where one of the ships, it's a like the main ship of the thing is called the Fat Man, and it's basically the way it's described is like it's a cube with a cockpit on it. And I always thought, okay, so it's the Imperial shuttle stretched. Without the top fin and side fins, it's the Imperial shuttle just with a giant square on the back. But this, it's like this needs a visual. It does. It the ship's the ship description needs a visual. It's awkward. I, I'm gonna call this awkward a lot apparently. Uh, I, like it's hard to picture. So I'm picturing a triangle with a triangular prism with a cockpit some an engineer with engines in the back and cockpit in the front connected with boom arms.
What's a boom arm?
I don't know, like that's the thing that the description's so weird. instead of being a simple Instead of being simple, like how would you describe in words a star destroyer?
Okay, well, I googled boom arm, and apparently it looks like it's the arm to a boom mic. So I assume that's not accurate.
Yeah, but like
Now
if
let's
I
see
were
what
to
Wikipedia
describe
says.
like if I were to using only words describe a star destroyer, or I would say it is a massive triangular ship. Yep, that could it is a massive triangular ship that dwarfs many of the moons it passes by. So that gives you a sense of scale of this thing.
Yeah,
It is huge.
yeah, Wikipedia doesn't have an article on boom arms, so I don't know what this writer's talking about.
With like it is a massive triangular ship with a tower on the top that contains the cockpit and weapons facilities. Like that is how I would describe a Star Destroyer. Or an X-wing is inherently in descriptive in its name. It is an X-wing. Its wings make an X.
Yeah, I always found that kind of strange because that would imply that the English alphabet is an actual Star Wars,
Eh.
which I guess it was in the theatrical version of A New Hope.
But yeah, like I just have a hard time picturing what this is. It's not a very good description.
Oh well. Moving on.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hedda liked the ship's variable qualities because it meant you never knew what was going to. You never knew what you were going to get. What weird challenges you might face from one job to the next. She had flown the ship once when half its cargo a- allotment was reconfigured into a huge water tank to carry a gigantic saberfish from the storm seas of Spira to the private aquarium of a countess in Abrigado. Hedda and her crew had gotten the beast there safely. Not an easy gig. Even harder though was getting the creature back to Spira 3 cycles later when the blasted thing got sick because of Countess's people had no idea how to take care of it. She gave the woman credit though. She paid full freight to send the saberfish home. A lot of people, nobles especially, would have just let it die.
This is
I ca Yeah, okay, I was gonna say it's talking. I was gonna say like this book is talking about taking a wild animal from its natural habitat and giving it to rich people and not describing it negatively. A few sentences later, there it is.
this is entirely irrelevant to what's going on.
Yeah, it's so strange that it's a very I see it very. It seems like a very. I don't know if this is an old trope or just recent, but I guess like a very frequently used trope is to portray the rich and powerful as being just completely ignorant
Inept.
retards. Yeah,
I
which I
mean,
guess is not. I mean, it's not entirely off, but
it's not entirely off, but everyone's capable of it. But let's talk about the paragraph as a whole. Why is this paragraph here? Like,
to
honestly,
describe
this
what
sentence, the whole this sentence, the first one, Hedda liked the ship's variable qualities because it meant you never knew what you were going to get. And what weird challenges you might face from one job to the next. Boom, there, done. I don't need the saberfish story. I don't care about the saberfish story. I'm more concerned once again with the okay, why do I need we're 3 hours to some sort of impact. Why am I learning about saberfish? I don't care about saberfish.
I guess the point is to I believe I guess the point is just to describe what one of their missions was
I
like in
guess give more
every
backstory on
day
the
of their
ship
life.
that's not going to play a role. That's probably only going to play the role as the
Okay.
MacGuffin in this story.
Okay, well, I guess the point is that because in the first sentence they talk about how you don't know what kind of weird challenge you're going to get, and so with the saberfish they had to create a water tank for it to describe like the different kind of tasks they have.
Okay, I guess. All right.
Personally,
Whatever.
I don't
I
the-
still think the paragraphs are irrelevant.
I see what you mean, but I honestly don't that bad. But that's okay. Moving on. See, this particular trip, in comparison, was as simple as they came. The Legacy Run's cargo sections were about 80% filled with settlers heading to the Outer Rim from overpopulated core and colony worlds, seeking new lives, new opportunities, new skies. She could relate to that. Hedda Cassett had been restless all her life. She had a feeling she'd die that way too, looking out a viewpoint, hoping her eyes would land on something she'd never seen before. Well, if she's looking out of viewpoint right now. Is she look? Is it saying that she's looking out at in space or something?
No, she's
'Cause you can-
walking.
Okay.
This is all while she's walking to the ship's through the ship apparently.
Yeah. New skies seems kind of pointless to the paragraph. I
Yeah,
out.
but the number of pointless words and phrases and stuff is overwhelming at this point. Because
I
this
guess
was
I guess they're by new skies they mean like just a new world, a different scenery. I guess that's what they meant.
yeah, I guess. Because this was a transport run, most of the ship's modules were basic passenger configurations, which, with open seating that converted into beds that were, in theory, comfortable enough to sleep in, sanitary facilities, storage, a few hollow screens, and small galleys, that was it. For settlers willing to pay for the increased comfort and convenience, some had droid-operated and auto canteens and private sleeping compartments, but not many. These people were frugal if they had money to begin with. They probably wouldn't be heading to the Outer Rim to try and scrape out a future. Okay. I don't need this sentence here. We've already established by and large, we've already established the population of the ship with the first two. For settlers willing to pay for increased comfort and convenience, some had droid-operated canteens and private sleeping compartments, but not many. Boom. All right. That's it. That's all I need. That is all as a reader I need.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. You can go on without me.
Yeah, you got it. That's all, as a reader, that's all I need. I can say, all right, most of these people don't have a lot of money to splurge. These people were frugal if they had money to begin. Like, these people were frugal, it doesn't need to be there. Like, but not many. If they had money to begin with, they probably wouldn't be heading to the Outer Rim to try and scrape out a future. Boom. So much better. I don't care about the frugal part. I don't need to know it. I don't need to know it. It's pointless. The dark edge of the galaxy was a place for challenges both exciting and deadly. More deadly than exciting, in truth. Again, that sentence doesn't need to be there. Even the road to get out here is tricky, Hedda thought, her gaze drawn by the swirl of hyperspace outside the large porthole. Well, she happened to be passing. She snapped her eyes away, knowing she could end up standing there for 20 minutes if she let herself get sucked in. You couldn't trust hyperspace. It was useful, sure, but it got you from here to there. But it was key to the expansion of the Republic out from the core, but no one really understood it. What the hell? Did we suddenly drop into 40K? Is the warp? Is hyperspace now the warp? Nobody really understands it, but it helps. It no, no, you cannot defend the moment of the Holdo attack on the Last Jedi this way. I refuse. I refuse to let this stand. Do not. No. Hyperspace was definitely understood in the Old Republic. It's why they had an entire war about it. If your Navidroid miscalculated the coordinates even a little, you could end up off the marked route, the main road through whatever hyperspace actually was, and then you'd be on the dark path leading to who knew where. It happened even in the well-traveled hyperlanes near the galactic center out there, where the prospectors had barely mapped out any routes. Well, it was something you had to keep an eye on. What is this? No, you're not going to ruin hyperspace this way. Hyperspace was just point A to point B travel. It took time. Yes. Also, yes, it took time. No. Also, you're not going to sneak SJW droid in there and pretend like that's not actually what you're doing.
All right, I'm back. What I miss?
Hyperspace is ruined.
Again? What happened this time?
You couldn't hype you. All right, so you couldn't trust hyperspace. It was useful, sure. It got you from here to there. It was key to the expansion of the Republic out from the core, but no one really understood it.
Where's this at?
Paragraph after the one I just finished.
Well, I don't know what paragraph you finished.
Uh, first first sentence is even the road to get out here is tricky.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, they're trying to sneak the Holdo maneuver. I guarantee you this is a roundabout defense of the Holdo maneuver, which I guarantee you someone's going to pull off at some point. Someone's going to do that, and then defend SJW droid in from Solo.
What is there an SJW droid in here?
It says if you're Navidroid. So you
What's
know
in
how in Solo the SJW droid had the best navigation system in the entire galaxy in her
Oh yeah,
head?
sorry about that.
Behold, the Navidroid. Instead of
Oh,
having a computer do it, like a computer built into the ship, like Google Maps. Fucking a Navidroid.
yeah. So okay, so my knowledge of Star Wars is a lot more limited compared to yours. So hyperspace is it's not really the ship going fast per se. It's the ship jumping into another dimension, right?
Pretty much, yes.
So the Holdo maneuver doesn't make any sense because I guess Ryan Johnson thought hyperspace was just going really fast, not
Ryan Johnson wanted
warp.
to have a great visual, which he got. Congratulations, Ryan. Utterly pointless, by the way.
But Clayton, how did it make you feel?
Fuck off, Renegade Cut. Oh, wait, never mind. Fuck off, Hello Greedo.
Nah. If it was Renegade Cut, he'd just say that he'd just call you a misogynist that you hate.
Fair enough. She put it
Uh,
out of her.
Speaking of Renegade Cut, did you see EFAP did a response to him?
Yes,
Like
I saw that.
he did Ghost. Okay,
Ghostbusters is good, actually, but it's not, though.
okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that Leon Thomas has a creepy voice. Oh, okay.
He was
All
doing
right.
that thing where he doesn't breathe through his nose. Anyway, that's
Okay,
true.
so hello, Greedo.
Pepperidge Farms remembers my crimes against humanity worse than you. She put it out of her mind and continued on her way. Truth was, the Legacy Run was currently speeding along the most well-traveled, well-known route to the Rim worlds. It was a milk run. This was a milk run. Ships moved along the hyperlane constantly, in both directions. Nothing to worry about. But more than...
Okay. I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Uh,
If you got...
okay, I can't. Okay, now I just have that stupid droid from Solo stuck in my head. So in the old expanded universe, was it ever officially confirmed that droids are actually
No. In the old expanded universe, where droids could help, they could put in, coordinates. But by and large, it was done by a navigation computer.
because I just find it because I just remember the droid from Solo. I remember hearing that the droid from Solo is like a droid's rights activist or
Yes,
something.
she is. She's a droids
Which
rights
is
activist.
which, like you said, because as far as I can tell, droids are not entirely sentient. As far as I can, or I'm not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. And like C-3PO, for example, he's naturally subservient to people.
He,
Like
yeah,
it because
exactly.
he's
Worse than you.
programmed
They
to
could
be.
speed up the process of navigation, but it was done by a computer. The reason C-3PO is programmed the way he is because he's a servant droid. He's supposed to help people. Like he's programmed uh to be like a translator. He's basically programmed to be an assistant. Like that's his job.
Yeah, so I guess like Solo introduced the idea that droids are fully sentient and they are enslaved to the Empire.
Droids are sentient. Droid whites, we are sentient.
Oh,
The
I
dumbest shit.
I haven't seen that movie yet. I remember Ryan saying that the movie is good, but he doesn't have good taste. He also thought The Predator was good.
Mm.
To be fair, I haven't seen The Predator, but I've seen enough of it to know like yeah, this fuck fucked up.
But more than 9,000 souls aboard this ship were depending on Captain Hedda Cassett to get them safely to their destination.
Wait. Hold on, time out. Did they just try to insert an over 9,000 joke?
I'm not sure. I'm going to let it slide. Bingo. There we go. But yeah, he's programmed to be an assistant essentially. He's programmed to assist someone.
Like I remember in the Darth Plagueis book, like Plagueis pretty much stole his droid from the crew that he was stowing away on.
Huh.
Yeah, he massacred the entire crew, and the droid is like, okay, I guess you're my master now.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's like, hey, can I wipe your memory? Like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. Okay, go on.
What a Captain Hedda Cassett. She worried. Hmm. Hedda exited the corridor and entered the central hall, emerging to a large circular space on an open spot. An open spot necessitated by the ship's structure that had been repurposed as a sort of unofficial common area. A group of children kicked a ball around as adults stood and chatted nearby, or just stretched out in a zone that was different than the zone in which they were awakened every. Whoa!
What
Mushmouth.
what zone? I think
Zone.
like I think like section of the Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be a better word. Just like
There's
look up
better
just
wording. But I
like
think
look up
that
like ship terminology.
yeah, but that's a there's a um uh there's a lot of awkward wording here, and I think we're just gonna stop pointing it out because we don't have to.
And now this has got me Google imaging ship terminology.
The space wasn't fancy, just a bare junction spot where several short corridors met, but it was clean. The ship's employ the ship employed, as its captain at its captain's insistence, an automated maintenance crew that kept its interiors neat and sanitary. One of the custodia droids was spidering its way along the wall at every moment, performing one of the endless tasks required on a ship of the size of the Run.
Okay. Um, she took a moment to take
Hold on,
stock
worse than
of
you
the.
pointed something out.
Oh boy.
9,000 souls aboard an Imperial frigate needs a few hundred to crew. Then this ship needs to be the size of a star destroyer. Sounds about right. Yeah, an Imperial frigate. Oh, did
Uh,
we get a ship name for this? Like a ship class size?
I don't. So
Ransom is a mixed use cargo. It's a cargo ship, so one would think it would be decent size. No,
okay.
no,
Oh,
it doesn't have it. Oh, it's a freight transport, class A. So I don't know. This thing would have to be quite large to hold 9,000 people and be comfortable.
over 9,000.
Well, and to have a crew, and like, and one thing I've noticed is it hasn't mentioned where the crew quarters are. Like, I guess they didn't think about that. Is if this ship
Okay.
is a cargo ship and runs from planet A to planet B, then it would make sense that there would be crew quarters on board, right?
Actually, quarters would be a better word to use than zone.
Yeah, it would. But the crew quarters are nowhere to be seen on on the description of the ship. Any description. We've had 3 or 4 now. Oh, so where are the crew quarters aren't mentioned? Engineering is mentioned, so we know we have an engineering section, but no crew quarters. So we don't know how big the crew is. Like, there's a couple of I know there's some cargo ships that can be crewed by some of these cargo freighters. There's in the Star Wars universe can be crewed by one person. It's just one guy running freight back and forth, but it's not very large. So I don't know. How big would this thing be? Like, there's a reason Star Destroyers are imposing, and it's because of their size. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that a cargo freighter would be of that same size. Anyway, now that we've had that thought, let's go.
Okay. She took a moment to take stock of this group. 20 people or so, all ages from a number of worlds. Humans, of course, but also a few scale skinned uh, Trandashans, a family of
Trandoshans.
Trandoshans, Trandoshans, a family of Bith, and even an Ortolan, blue skinned and long snout, and the big ponderous flaps protruding from the side of its head. Don't you mean their head? How dare you call it this alien it? You didn't see many of those around, but no matter their planet of origin, they were all just ordinary people biding time until their new lives could. You know, I just realized something.
What?
Uh, this High Republic is more like the Federation from Star Trek than the Federation from new Star Trek the new Star Trek shows.
Sounds like it.
I mean, these are much more open-minded people, all about inclusivity. Whereas Star Trek Picard, apparently the Federation has a lot more
Well,
like prejudice.
the thing
Prejudice.
is, the human supremacy didn't take place until the Empire, and while the Empire and the Old Republic was certainly human supremacist, the Republic itself didn't necessarily have that many people biased against other aliens
Yeah, I know. I just find it ironic that apparently Star Wars is being more like Star Trek than Star Trek.
than Star Trek is. Yeah.
Oh,
By
I'd
the
say
way, the scale skin Trandosians, then Trandosians are like tribal people. They eat people. Like, straight up, they eat people.
oh those okay, those guys,
Yeah.
that green guy, that green bounty hunter guy.
Yes. Like, they eat people.
Oh, that's
One of the
wait. Didn't
kids looked
describe.
up. What?
Never mind. I got the Trandoshan up with the or with the Ortolan. Go. Never
Oh.
mind.
One of the kids looked up. Captain Cassett, the boy said, a human, olive skinned with red hair. What an odd combination.
Uh, Okay, I was earlier. I was going to say that the Trandoshan. I thought the Trandoshan was the blue guy,
Nope.
but that was the Ortolan.
But what an odd combination. Like, olive
Yes.
skinned with red hair.
Yeah. So a Roman would never bed with a Celt.
I mean,
I-
even if they did, assuming, like, this kid is, Yeah, I agree. Genetics tells me that that's not how that works. Hello,
Yeah.
she knew him. Hello, Serge. I hope that's how you pronounce that. I don't know. What's the good word? Everything all right here? Good God, woman. Can you not speak normally? The good word? Fucking what?
He's talking about. She's talking about Jesus, obviously. Good word.
Apparently. Like, hey, you had to put what's the good word? Yeah, like I guess she's trying to make her sound old,
Okay.
but
Guys, I don't know.
I don't
The
know.
other.
Like,
Uh, Alright. The other children stopped their game and clustered around her. Could use some new hollows, Serge said. We've we've watched everything in the system.
I will mute you. That's correct. She does sound like an AI wrote this. All we got all we got is all we got. What? An AI did write this. This was put through an AI somewhere along the line. Somewhere, no one stopped to read this dialogue out loud. No one stopped to read any of these paragraphs out loud. And stop trying to chip into the archive to see the age restricted titles. You think I don't know? This is my ship. I know everything that happens on the Legacy run. Ugh. She leaned forward. Everything. Serge blushed and looked towards his friends, who had also suddenly found very interesting things to look at on the absolutely uninteresting floor, ceiling, and walls of the chamber. Don't worry
So,
about it.
wait, was Serge trying to look at porn or
I'm
something?
guessing.
Okay, I kind of got distracted. Okay.
I guess. But again, all we got is all we got. Ugh. Don't worry about it, she said, straightening. I get it. This is a pretty boring ride. You won't believe me, but in not too long, when your parents have you plowing fields and building fences or fighting off rancors, you'll be dreaming of the time you spent on this ship. Just relax and
Wait,
enjoy. Okay.
what planet are Rancors from?
Uh Felucia, I think. But you're gonna send child of unknown age. Presumably he's what? Maybe he at best, given the fact that he's trying to chip in and watch, porn, maybe 13, 14. He seems he seems young enough to be like he seems young but not he seems young but not super young. If he's trying to chip into the archive and see age restricted titles.
I wonder if. Yeah, looking at Worst in Use comment about the AI. It
Yeah.
makes me wonder. I think if we should reread the conversation and insert like the Oblivion soundtrack. Call it like Oblivion NPC conversation Star Wars edition.
Serge rolled his eyes. He's in return to whatever improvised ball game he and the other kids had devised. Heda grinned and moved through the room, nodding and chatting as she went. People, probably some good, some bad, but for the next few days, her people. She loved these runs. No matter what eventually happened in the lives of these folks that were heading to the rim to make their dreams come true. She was part of that, and it made her feel good. Good lord. But we're moving on because I said we'll be here all night if we have to point out every awkward phrasing and dialogue.
Hey, Chancellor So's republic wasn't perfect. No government was or ever could be. Well, at least they're honest about it. But it was a system that gave people room to dream. No, even bigger, it encouraged dreams, big and small. The republic had its flaws, but all things considered, it could be a hell of a lot worse. No narrator should ever talk like this.
Yeah, this is foreshadowing, by the way. This is baby's
Yeah,
first foreshadowing, and it's clunky and awkward as all hell.
yeah.
You know,
Unless the narrator is like an actual character, the narrator shouldn't have express too much personality.
yeah.
Saying a hell of a lot worse makes your narrator feel like an actual character.
But I think that the problem is she's narrating this. Actually, that's a good question. Who the hell is narrating this? Because sometimes it feels like we're inside Hedda's head, but then this kind of thing feels like, oh, this is an outside narrator. Or like it sort of bounces between them. Hedda's rounds took over an hour. She made her way through the passenger compartments, but also checked on the shipment of supercooled liquid Tibana to make sure the volatile stuff was properly locked down. It was. Inspected the engines, all good. Investigated the status of repairs to the ship's environmental recirculation system, in progress and proceeding nicely. We don't need these things. This could be just a list of things that she did. It odd, like, yes, the idea that she's also shipping a volatile chemical, which honestly, if I were freight company, I would not put on a passenger run at all. Like, sorry, but this is a volatile chemical. This volatile chemical could, if exposed to thing X or not locked down properly or shaken around too much, could explode. And suddenly you have a bunch of people suing you for why their ship went for wrongful death, injuries, things of that nature.
Okay.
No, worse than you. It's a shipment. It specifies. Like, she checked on a shipment of supercooled liquid Tabana. Like, yes, it would make sense they had fuel in the ship for the ship. But as like, if I were running this freight thing, I would not put this kind of thing with a passenger run. That's just asking for trouble. I agree. It also does need, if it takes her well over an hour to walk this ship, how this ship is huge. Like, good God. Although, judging by the list of things she looks at and inspects, it could just be the number of duties she performs. Made sure the fuel reserves were still more than adequate for the rest of the journey with a comfortable margin. Besides, they were. Again, we don't need all the things in parentheses. And the shipment of liquid cool Tabana being there is a very obvious foreshadowing. Way to introduce your Chekhov's gun. And B, how big is this ship? I think that's a question we. The Legacy run was exactly as she wanted it to be. A tiny, well-maintained world in the wilderness of a warm bubble of safety holding back the void. Ooh. She couldn't vouch for what was waiting for these settlers once they dispersed into the Outer Rim, but he would make sure they got there safe and sound to find out. Okay, where are you going? Has anyone noticed that?
Nope.
Where are these people going? What planet are they going to? Where are they going? It's just
Apparently,
mentioned that,
apparently, the homeworld of the Rancor species.
I guess, but apparently it's just, oh, we're going to the Outer Rim. Doesn't say where in the Outer Rim, but apparently this is one of the most well taken hyperspace lanes. And given that we're checking the fuel reserves for the rest of the journey, it would imply that you're stopping in one location. And the supercooled liquid Savannah, that fuel you have, or some kind of chemical, has to go somewhere. So where are you going? You can't just avoid the subject. Where are you going? Hedda returned to the bridge, where Lieutenant Bowman all but leapt to his feet the moment he saw her enter. Captain on the bridge, and the other officers sat up straighter. Thank you, Jerry. Hedda sat at her second stepped aside and returned to his post. Hedda settled into her command chair, automatically checking the displays, scanning for anything out of the ordinary. All is well, she thought.
Katang, 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 katang. Oh god. Avatar shippers. Take evasive action. Evasive action.
An alarm, loud and insistent. An alarm, loud and insistent. The lighting flipped to its emergency configuration, bathing everything in red. Through the front port, the swirls of hyperspace looked off somehow. Maybe it was the emergency lighting, but they had a reddish tinge. It looked sickly. I would too. Okay. What? Okay. Hedda felt her pulse quicken, her mind snapped into combat mode without thinking. Report, she barked out, whipping along her own set of screens to find the source of the alarm. Alarm generated by the Navicomp captain, her navigator, Cadet Calwar, or a young Quermain? Quermain? What?
Quermian?
Quermian.
Eh.
Something. There's something in the hyperlane. Dead ahead. Big. Impact in 10 seconds. The cadet's voice held steady, and Hedda was proud of him. He probably wasn't that much older than Serge. Alright. So, we had 3 hours to impact.
1 hour has already gone
A
by.
while ago. 1 hour has gone by. Did it take her an hour to get? So it apparently her rounds took 2 hours.
Okay, so I just looked up what what a Quermian is. It almost reminds me of the Goombas from the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah.
Got these tiny little heads.
Anyway. She knew the situation was impossible. Well, the lanes were selected because they were free of potential debris, their clarity calculated down to a meter of resolution. Any granules missed would be detected and evaded by the shipboard or navidroids, making adjustments along the vector. Lightspeed collisions along the established lanes were mathematical absurdities. She also knew that even though it was impossible, it was happening, and that 10 seconds was no time at the speeds like the Legacy run was traveling. You can't trust hyperspace, she thought. I would call bullshit, but I've already given my bullshit for this. Hedda Cassett tapped 2 buttons in her command console. Brace yourselves, she said. I'm taking control. Okay? Why don't you just drop out of hyperspace? Here's an idea. If hyperspace is not light speed, why don't you just drop out of hyperspace? If impact is in 10 seconds in hyperspace, you should drop out of hyperspace and travel for a certain amount of time in real space and then jump back into hyperspace again. Presumably, if you were to do that, you would either A, if hyperspace is just light speed but faster, be able to avoid the debris because be able to avoid whatever is causing this. So you should be able to just emergency jump out of hyperspace. Boom, like that. That makes sense for that to be a feature in most ships. and it would give you more time. And like, there are so many reasons why just dropping out of hyperspace now would make sense as a move that a captain would do. Two piloting sticks snapped up out of the armrest of her captain's chair, and Hedda grasped them one in each hand.
Oh, great, a female driver. We're all dead.
She spared herself the time for one breath, and then she flew. The Legacy Run, the Legacy Run was not an Incom Z-24 Buzzbug or even one of the New Republic long beams. It was a 60-year-old freighter at the end of, if not beyond, its operational lifespan, loaded to capacity with engine.
Beyond, wait, beyond. Is she suspecting that it's beyond its operational lifespan?
Yes.
And you're flying in space with that. This isn't a fucking car.
Apparently, according to an earlier paragraph, the ship is fine. The ship is
But
absolutely
beyond,
fine
but possibly beyond operational life.
so long as it was well maintained.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Loaded to capacity with engines designed for slow, gradual acceleration and deceleration and docking with spaceports and orbital loading facilities. It maneuvered like a moon. The, leg- the Legacy Run was no warship, not even close, but Hedda flew it like one. She saw the obstacle in their path with her fighter pilot's eye and instincts, saw it advancing at an incredible velocity, large enough that both her ship and whatever it was would be disintegrated into atoms, dust drifting forever through the hyperlanes. There was no time to avoid it. The ship could not make the turn. There was no room and there was no time. I am all right, I'll be honest, I'm not invested in this. I don't care. This just an example. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said earlier, worse than you. Why wouldn't you just automatically jump back into normal space? Like why why would that not be an emergency thing? Why would that not be an automatic procedure performed by the Navicomputer? Like, yeah, set the alarm off, alert the people, but drop into real space. If you're about to hit something in hyperspace that 10 seconds affords you, that 10 seconds is nothing. 10 seconds? Oh, that's nothing. We're all doomed. We're all fucking doomed. Oh well. It seems like the emergency procedures of this ship should be, oh, there's something in the hyperspace lane. There's something in the hyperspace lane that we are going to impact upon. Drop into real space. Drop out of hyperspace. He's travel in real space for a while to avoid it. That makes sense. But right now we're not making sense because logic has taken a back seat because we have to have this because we have to have, oh, I don't know, the narrative of, because I'm assuming this pushes the plot forward. Uh but Captain Hedda Cassett was at the helm. Good God. But Jesus himself was at the helm, and she would not fail her ship. The tiniest tweak of the left control stick and a larger rotation of the right, and the Legacy Run moved. More than it wanted to, but no, less than she believed it could. Yeah. And the huge freighter slipped past the obstacle in their path, and the thing shooting past their hull so close Hedda was sure she felt it passing, ruffle her hair despite the many layers of metal and shielding between them.
I wouldn't call it the thing. I'd say like
I would be
the strange figure.
I would also be specific about what it was too. Ooh. Maybe like say, oh, maybe it's ship debris. Maybe it's hard to tell in going at the speeds they were at, but it looked like ship debris. Why not just call it debris? She felt the debris shooting past their hull. But they were alive, no impact. The ship was alive. Turbulence and Hedda fought it, feeling her way through the jagged bumps and ripples. Closing her eyes, not needing to see to fly, the ship groaned, its frame complaining. Wait, we're literally worse than you is right. Jesus has taken the wheel. We don't need to see to fly. Remember, kids. If you're a driver, or if you're a race car driver, you can just close your eyes. You'll be fine. It's not like driving at 200 miles an hour or is dangerous or anything. You can do it, old gal. We're a couple of cranky old ladies. And that's for sure. But we've both got a lot of life to live. I've taken damn good care of you, and you know it. I won't let you go down, if you won't let me down. Hedda did not fail her ship. It failed her. The groan of overstressed metal became a scream. Scream. The vibrations of the ship's passage through space took on a new timbre. Hedda had felt too many times before. It was the feeling of a ship that had moved beyond its limits. Whether from taking too much damage in a firefight or, as here, just being asked to perform a maneuver that was more than it could give. The Legacy Run was tearing itself apart. It had seconds to live at most. Hedda opened her eyes. She released the control sticks and tapped out commands on her console, activating the bulkhead shielding that separated each cargo module in the instance of a disaster, thinking that perhaps it might give some of the people aboard a chance. She thought about Serge and his friends playing in the common area, how emergency doors had just slammed down at the entrance of each passenger module, possibly trapping them in a zone that was shortly about to become vacuum. She hoped the children had gone to their families when the alarm sounded. She didn't know. She just didn't know. Hedda locked eyes with her first officer who was staring at her, knowing what was about to happen. He saluted. Captain, it's been an... The bridge ripped open. Hedda Cassett died, not knowing if she had saved anyone at all. What a
So
shit show.
was that the whole 3 hours?
I don't
Or
know.
was there another fact?
That I guess that was a whole 3 hours. What the hell happened in hour one? Did Okay, so let's break down the timeline here. So we're told 3 hours to impact. So hour one, don't worry, she'll come back. She's Jesus after all. So hour one, I'm guessing, is her doing this. That first paragraph. That has to be hour one. Hour two is taken up by her walking her walking, like walking and talking to Serge and everything else. And then hour three is her wandering the rest of the ship. Yeah, it'll take her 3 chapters. that has like that has to be the timeline, right? I'm not crazy, because the moment she gets back to the bridge, and the moment she settles in, boom, shit goes down. But we're only told her rounds took over an hour. So, which would mean that she spent at least 1 hour, if not more, just wandering forward in the ship, wandering to the places she wanted to go. So 3 hours. She spent what would have to be at least 3 hours walking this ship. Which would mean this ship is massive. Like bigger than this thing would have to be bigger than a Star Destroyer. Or for her to take 3 hours to round the whole ship. With multiple stops. But let's break down this action scene, shall we?
Oh yeah.
All right. So the first a first paragraph, we're all good. It's very much a satisfying beginning. like and alarms, uh, the 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 sound of, I guess, the alarm. Honestly, if it like reading it again, the alarm sound would have been better if it had been like minor debris hitting the windshield of the ship. I say windshield, the cockpit of the ship, instead of, and then an alarm. I'm loud and insistent. I think that would have been better, but overall, first paragraph, that first little thing is very impactful. And then we sort of have this building of we're going, and then it's, oh, she thinks of Surge. Okay, yeah. The situation is impossible. Okay, then why did you put yourself in it? Like, the whole explaining of how this is occurring, like this whole paragraph where this is basically, oh yeah, how am I going to justify how this is occurring? Oh right, hyperspace can't be trusted. It's a mysterious force. Blah 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 blah. Uh, it's a mysterious force. There's no one understands it. But like how the author is justifying this is just takes me right out of it. There's no reason this needs to be here. It's just explaining. It's just trying to explain why this is happening instead of just letting it happen. Instead of just letting there naturally be debris that could have been in there could have been some sort of explosion involving the hyperdrive. Yeah, exact. I was. I will get there worse than you because you're right. Like everything, everything in this chapter is supposed to be building to this final thing, but you're still trying to justify this action scene while you're writing this action scene. And then and then we're back in, but the problem is I've already left. My investment is gone. You're trying, like, this whole paragraph just is gone. Like, bye, my investment is gone. You were doing so well. And then uh we know she's a pilot, so most of the other stuff is good. And then um the ship failing her, that's a good one. And, like, the final the final thing in a better book. Hell, in a better book, in a better written chapter, I would say really good. Like, yes, cool, awesome. What a way to start out. What a way to start out. Now we have something, we have a goal for for our main characters to reach. Rescue these people, rescue these survivors, if any. But let's sit back and really think about this. So she has 10 sec. Never mind. Actually, what I was thinking was wrong. They had no time. They had no time for escape pods. But still, though, like, all of the everything that happens here is all worthless because I don't care about these characters. Because from the word go, 3 hours to impact, that first sentence, I know, I, as a reader, No, I don't have to invest my time in these characters. I just have to get through these chapter. I just have to get through this chapter because that's I just read this chapter to know what the MacGuffin is. Like that is it. That is what I'm assuming this chapter is. Either that or the chapter is a flashback and I don't care about it anyway because it may or may not have plot relevance. Like developing connection with the characters is necessary, and in reality, it, all is well. 3 hours to impact, all is well. These two things don't need to be there. Captain Hedda Cassett reviewed the readouts and displays built into her command chair for the second time. Boom, that's your opening sentence. You don't need any more than that. We've already begun a connection with that character. We've already begun to connect with that character, but now that we know 3 hours to impact, all is well. All is well. Well, it's there's a lot wrong with this. I think honestly, I would put this through some heavy editing just to get. I'd say this needs to be read through at least 2 or 3 more times before I would publish. Before I would even consider handing it in as the first chapter of a novel. Like I would read through it. I would have read through it at least 2 or 3 more times and dealt with a lot of the awkward pace, a lot of the awkward dialogue, and awkward phrasing in sentences.
Well, Clayton, you're just saying this because you hate women. Let's be real. All right, I don't know if you saw. You probably don't go on Twitter very often, but
No, I don't.
somebody had posted a picture of, let's see, it was a picture of Ray, Captain Marvel, uh, I can't remember. It's Ray, Captain Marvel, Abby from The Last of Us 2, and one other character. And that's the person who posted it said, 4 female characters that make men insecure.
Anyway, but yeah, I would have read through this at least 2 or 3 more times. Get rid of the awkward dialogue, the awkward sentence structure.
Oh, okay. I see. It was Captain Marvel, Ray, the 13th Doctor, and Abby from The Last of Us.
The 13th Doctor's awful.
Yeah, it says characters that bring out the insecurities in men, and
Characters
let's
that are
see,
shit and everyone knows it. Stop defending
and
them.
then somebody responded with characters that bring out the insecurities in women. So it has Zero Suit Samus, Tifa Lockhart, Revy from Black Lagoon, and that white-haired chick with the blindfold around her face from what's it called, Near.
Oh. Hmm. Yeah. True enough. Anyway, uh, but yeah, I would have read this. This desperately needs a third or fourth draft. I hope this isn't a first draft, but this desperately needs a third or fourth draft because it could be better. I'm not like honestly, I was expecting worse. I really was, but it's not that bad. It just needs to be edited. It needs editing. It needs to be looked at again and again and again to get rid of these awkward dialogues, the awkward sentence structure, or some of the descriptions could use work. And the action scene needs to happen, and the action scene needs to be different. Like rewrite the whole action, like re, like just get rid of this single paragraph, the longest paragraph in the second longest paragraph in the entire action scene, and you're good. Like it doesn't matter. Also, name where they're going. I did notice they didn't name the navigation droid.
All right.
But yeah. So, that is the first chapter of uh the first novel in the High Republic era. I'll be honest, not looking forward to it. I probably won't pick it up. I might. I might just to see for the rest, but honestly, the the uh the writing so far hasn't impressed me.
Well, if you do buy it, you should send me some scans so we could read them out on a future stream.
Hmm. I will definitely do that.
Maybe also check out Chuck Wendig's Aftermath trilogy.
Hmm.
That should be interesting. I skimmed through it I skimmed through it one time at a bookstore, and also watched a Dishonored Wolves video on Chuck Wendig. The guy likes to spam dash a lot in his writing.
Huh.
Like, it should be yeah. It's like I've heard that it's just unreadable.
Ah.
It's poorly written. Not necessarily the story itself is poorly written, just the writing itself.
Oh God, not
So,
Aftermath. All right. So I think we're at the end of the stream. So I'm going to make my announcement. So
what?
if you're here at the end of the stream, congratulations. If you're watching this later and you're here now, pay attention. So I have been reading things recently. Um, there is an RPG that I have wanted to run for a while. It's called Don't Rest Your Head. And the premise of it is you, the players, are no longer able to sleep. For whatever reason, doesn't really matter. Or doesn't really matter. But I am thinking of running at the very least, a one shot at some point. Uh, I'm not sure when it will be, but here, there's two things you must do. First, I will post this on the Discord. I will post the character creation on the Discord, or at least the the book page of character create of what you need to create your character on the Discord, and you have to at me and send it to me in. You have to at me or you have to at Academic Alehouse or Void Soul in the Academic Alehouse Discord. I will read through your character description. If I like it, you're in. If I don't, well, sorry about you. But that's thing number two. You must be in our Discord. I will not accept comments. I will not accept characters in comments or emails. So you must be in the Discord, and this will be first come, first serve. I'm looking for at least 3 players. If you want to know how the game works, YouTube, Don't Rest Your Head, True Mass Games, you can hear me and all my cringy awkwardness play this game with a couple of other people. Well, and I like True Mass Games. He was a cool guy, so I'm gonna see if I can send people his way. But yeah, it was a lot of fun when I played it. It was some of probably the most in-depth character work I've ever done in an RPG, because it like the game actually like requires you to do it. So I'm really interested to see what y'all can come up with. So that is my announcement. That is my project. Um, I think if depending on if what happens in the next, if I have people in the next week come and say, yo, here's my character concept, blah 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 blah. What I might do is I might read out a couple of them on stream. I might read out a couple of them on stream before the game starts.
Okay, so this game is like take place in the real world, or it's like a fantasy.
Little column A, little column B.
Okay.
It is an RPG, so and I to those who end up playing, it will be a to those who end up playing the game, it will be streamed. We will be streaming it. So that should be fun. And B, uh, like it also is there's a PDF version that's free on if you Google it, and you can read through and learn the mechanics and everything, if you so choose. You're not barred from that. That being said, I thank you all for joining us for the 6th episode of Filthy Casuals. Thank you and good night.
Yep. Take care. Later.